The Washington State Patrol and other state agencies are working to keep our roads and public safe. Ignition interlocking devices are a simple concept. If you attempt to drive with alcohol in your system, the device stops you. It is connected to your vehicle's ignition and requires the driver to blow into the device before starting the engine. If the device detects alcohol, your vehicle won't start. This restriction applies to any type of vehicle that you drive, including motorcycles, rental cars, friends' cars, loaner cars, and company cars. If you are driving on public roadways, it needs to have an interlock system installed. Watercraft are not required to have an interlock system, as well as off-road vehicles like ATVs, dirt bikes, riding lawnmowers, and similar vehicles, as long as you stay off public roadways. In Washington State, there are multiple interlock devices that are approved to use and install. Once the chosen device is installed in your vehicle, you will be trained by a technician on how to use the device. Be sure to ask questions if you don't understand any part of how the device works. Make sure that you're comfortable using the device before you leave the service center. To start the vehicle, you must have a breath alcohol content of less than 0.025. If you blow above 0.025, the vehicle will not start. Breath alcohol content is the amount of alcohol found in your deep lung air and is representative of your blood alcohol content. If your vehicle has a mechanical issue and stalls, you're provided a 2-minute window to restart the vehicle without having to take another test. If your vehicle stalls beyond 2 minutes, the device will require a breath sample prior to starting up again. Do not use products that may contain alcohol within 15 minutes of providing a breath sample. Some products such as mouthwash, perfume, cologne, and cough syrup may inadvertently register on the device if the test is taken too soon after using them. In addition to these, other products like solvents, leather protectors, even windshield washer fluids sometimes contain alcohol. Refrain from using these products just prior to or during a test. If you do experience an alcohol violation that you believe was caused by one of these products, you should provide a follow-up breath test within 10 minutes. If you pass the follow-up test, the first test will not count against you as an alcohol violation. If you do not take a follow-up test, your first test will be considered a violation. Also, don't have any food products in your mouth when administering the test. We recommend that you wash your mouth out with water prior to all tests. In addition to not eating before providing a sample, you should not smoke, chew tobacco, or vape within the time suggested by the manufacturer. Once your vehicle has been started, you'll be required to give random retests throughout your drive. The first retest will be within 10 minutes of starting the vehicle. Your device will notify you when the retest is required. If you're driving when the retest is needed, you should pull off the roadway safely before attempting to take the test. You will be given roughly 5 minutes to provide a breath sample. The second and following retests will be required randomly, anywhere from 10 to 45 minutes apart. If you ignore the retest notifications, or if you log a breath alcohol content of 0.025 or more, your vehicle will give a continuous audible alert until it is stopped and shut off. Any failure to submit a random retest or a breath alcohol content of 0.025 or higher while driving will result in a violation reset. This will require you to respond to an Interlock service center within 5 days for servicing and could result in additional fees. After 5 days, if the vehicle has not been serviced, the vehicle enters lockout mode and won't start. Washington state law does not allow a remote code to unlock your device. At that point, your only options require either a mobile service technician to visit your vehicle or to have your vehicle towed to a service center. Also, if a vehicle enters lockout mode, you will be immediately reported by the Interlock company as a non-compliant, and your restriction period may be extended as a result. Don't try to trick the system. All approved devices have an anti-circumvention feature that makes sure that only the driver can register recordings on the device. Digital cameras and GPS technology are part of the device system. When a test is required, the device will take a digital image of the driver and capture their GPS coordinates. All testing and device events are recorded in the device's memory and are accessible by the company, judicial system, parole and probation officers, Department of Licensing, and law enforcement. Only you can provide a breath sample, not your friends, not your children, not an air compressor. It is a criminal offense if you are the driver and you allow someone else to take the test for you. You both could face interlock circumvention charges. Don't do it. As a restricted driver, you and you alone are responsible for all the information recorded by your device. Alternately, if you have someone else driving your vehicle, that driver, even if they do not have an interlock restriction, must provide a breath sample. And only the driver should be providing a breath sample. This is confirmed by the digital camera within the system. Interlock devices in Washington only use fuel cell alcohol detection technology that is specific to alcohol. You can't fool the device. Also, attempts to tamper with the device, digital camera, or any wiring will be reported to the State Patrol. Removal of an ignition interlock device from a vehicle by anyone other than a certified ignition interlock technician will be considered tampering and subject that individual to criminal prosecution. Also, don't use the interlock device as a tool to check your breath alcohol level or that of your friends with no intent to drive. All events are recorded, and this will likely result in a violation with added fees. There are other commercial devices you can buy for this. Don't use your interlock device. Once you finish watching this video, you will be asked to sign a form that becomes part of your file indicating that you understand everything that you learned. Then your interlock restriction is told on a day-to-day basis. This means if you have the device uninstalled for 2 weeks, your restriction will be extended by 2 weeks, in addition to any possible criminal or civil penalties for an early removal. Your interlock restriction will only be lifted if the last 4 months of your restriction period are reviewed and found to be violation-free. Any violations during this time will extend your restriction for an additional 4 months. This will continue indefinitely until you have 4 consecutive months of no violations. There are certain violations that will extend your restriction. You can review a detailed description of these violations on the Washington State Patrol website and from your interlock provider. Remember, to avoid an extended restriction period, do not uninstall a device when your restriction period has ended until you have been given confirmation from the Department of Licensing that your last 4 months were violation-free. If you have any questions, notify your service center technician before leaving the facility. Once you leave, you are responsible for your interlock device. All questions regarding your driver's license restriction should be directed to the Department of Licensing. For law regulations or enforcement questions, contact the State Patrol. The State Patrol and others in the judicial system want you to be safe. We want you to complete your restricted time successfully. Remember some basic rules and you'll serve your restriction easily. Don't try to drive with alcohol in your system. Use the device correctly and take your random tests when the device notifies you. Don't try to trick the system. Only you can provide a breath sample. Don't tamper with or remove the device. Attempts to tamper with or circumvent an ignition interlock device will be reported to the State Patrol. Remember, you and you alone are responsible for all the information recorded by your device. You have all the tools to complete your restricted time successfully. There are no excuses for alcohol violations.
We wanted to make a short video showing you how to use the Interlock machine. When you get an Interlock installed into your car, make sure you get a user's manual. It tells you what to do. But if you don't want to read it, these are the key points. It's really important that the camera is pointing at you when you do the test. Before you put the key in the ignition, you have to give this black square a tap and wait for instructions. You have to wait till it says blow or you're going to waste your breath. 3 out, 2 in, 3 out. Hear the beeping. You'll hear it vibrate, and then you're good to go. As soon as you see zeros on the screen, you're able to turn on the car. As soon as you turn off your car, take the key out, make sure this detects that the key is out. The way you know, it'll beep at you, and it'll get a timer. If you don't see the timer, you have to wait in your vehicle until you see the timer. If not, it could ask you to do another retest. If you don't do it, it will be a violation. Difference of a lockout and a regular recalibration is not a big one. Same thing, software download. The only thing is, one was tampered with, you got low battery voltage, or it got ethanol into the system. It will put you in a lockout mode. The first one, it'll give you benefit of the doubt, but you don't want to keep blowing into it if it keeps detecting ethanol. Keep the sunlight out of the LEDs. It will make them dim down with time. I tell everybody, plan ahead in the morning. You got to budget for extra time. If this does need a restart or a warm up, it takes 5 to 10 minutes, so you need to budget for that.